Good evening, or morning, or afternoon. I don't know when you're watching this, but before we begin today's Grammar Shorts episode, I would like to spend a few moments talking about some of my favorite usages of the colon and semicolon in both contemporary and classical. Yes, it is time to talk about the winky face and the not winky face. That is the semicolon and the colon, and when you should be using which one of those things. I'm going to start with the colon. That's the one that's just two dots, a period with another period over it. There's no winkiness to it at all. Colon basically has just one function in normal writing, which is that you use it to introduce a list or an explanation of some kind. Now, yes, you use it in time, you use it in Bible verses, and there's some other things like that, but when you are writing, if you are introducing a list, colon, list. If you are saying something and then you realize it needs a fuller explanation, colon, fuller explanation. And the key thing about thinking about using a colon to introduce your list or to introduce your explanation is that the things on the two sides of the colons have unequal weight. So a short thing that introduces that there's going to be a list, and then the list, or a short thing or term, and then a colon, and then the explanation of why that thing or term is important. When there are unequal weights, that's really when you want to do it. Now, what makes the colon kind of tricky is when you are not allowed to use it. That is after a preposition or after a verb. And for example, if you were going to go three places, you wouldn't say, I'm going to colon, the mall, the ice cream shop, and home. Okay? The colon there is unnecessary. The preposition to lets your reader or lets your listener know that a list is coming, that the places you are going to go is coming. So never use it after preposition. I see students do it a lot after the preposition by. This is my essay, by, colon, student name. Don't need that. Just by with your name. And verbs too. Do not put a colon after a verb. So let's say that you enjoy certain things at the amusement park. You might write a sentence, I enjoy, colon, the roller coasters, the log flume with the water and the spraying, and then the funnel cakes, because come on, funnel cakes. No colon there, because the verb enjoy demands a direct object. And so you, again, your readers or your listeners, they know that something is coming and it doesn't require a colon. Semicolons. The most common use of a semicolon is in a compound sentence. If you remember my episode on compound sentences, compound sentence has two independent clauses, two clauses that can stand on their own. And normally you would use a comma and, or comma but, or any of the fanboys in order to separate those clauses. But if you want to leave out the fanboy, go with the semicolon. And you would also use this semicolon with a conjunctive adverb, something like however, moreover, nevertheless. If that conjunctive adverb appears in the middle of a complex sentence, I never go to the movies, semicolon, however, I made an exception for The Last Jedi. And the key thing here is, if the colon separates things that are unequal in weight, like I have a complete sentence that says there's a list coming, and then there's a list. None of those things are sentences. The semicolon separates things that are equal in weight. Here's what could be a complete sentence. Here's what could also be a complete sentence. They're equal. I can't think of any easy little trick to remember that you use the colon for unequal and semicolon for equal. Just know that, understand that, learn that. So why do we even have these? I mean, can't we just get away without using this kind of punctuation at all? It's complex, it's weird, the rules are hard to remember. We have them because in early days of manuscript writing, when literally manuscripts would be copied by hand, man, you script, or early printing, there are all of these punctuation marks that kind of got created or appropriated in order to denote the length of a pause when someone is reading aloud to others, because literacy was not widespread until relatively recently in human history. So one person would stand up in front of the town, stand up in front of the church, stand up in front of something and read, and then the punctuation, the comma, the period, the colon, the semicolon, all of these things would indicate a different length of pause when you are reading. You perhaps maybe have even been told in your life that you put a comma in anywhere you take a breath in your writing. But nowadays, almost all reading is silent. You pick up a book, you pick up a magazine, you pick up your tablet, you pick up your phone, and there's no need to think about the length of the pauses. I'm pretty well convinced that within the next 100, 150 years, I'm not going to be around to see it unless they finally get that cloning thing up to date, that, a lot of these pieces of punctuation are going to fade away. We might lose the apostrophe, we might lose the semicolon, we might lose the colon, and you know what? It's going to be okay. Language changes, language evolves. But for now, when you're in a situation where somebody's going to judge you whether or not you're using the colon or semicolon correctly, try to use them correctly, okay? I'll see you for the next one.